Hello and welcome to Breakfast All Day. I'm Matt. Christy is here. Alonso is here. Guess what? They're going to talk about Trolls World Tour. And the best news of all is that I didn't see it.
Oh. I tried to get you a link, Matt.
Right? They wouldn't send me one. And boy, am I thankful based on the way you guys have talked about it.
Well, the second best thing is that neither Chris nor I had to pay for it. So
right. I'm really happy, Matt, that you didn't spend $19.99 on Trolls World Tour.
Yes. Good. Chris, you want to describe?
We'll describe. Sure thing. So this is a sequel to Trolls, and that came out in 2016, and it was a big hit, and it spawned all kinds of like lunchboxes. They do like a kid's flavor of dental rinse that like strawberry. It has a picture of Poppy on the outside.
Troll flavored.
It's Trolls.
It's a Netflix series, right? Isn't there like some sort of...
Well, and let's remember, the Trolls were a thing in the like late 70s and then early 80s.
There were dolls.
A whole,
the dolls,
yes.
Anyway, so it's still Anna Kendrick and Justin Timberlake, and they are still in their happy poppy part of Troll Town, whatever it's called, and they do a whole big song to Girls Just Want to Have Fun at the beginning. James Corden is still there with his little squeaky friendly toy thing. What's it called? Mr. Giggles.
Mr. Diddle.
Something like that.
But Mr. What?
Just
Did you
roll
say
with
Mr.
it.
Diddles?
I thought it's something like that. It's
Giggles. Anyway.
Something.
Dr. Giggles?
Not unlike the plot of the most recent Smurfs movie, Poppy discovers that there are other kinds of trolls in the world. In the last Smurfs movie, Smurfette finds out she's not the only girl Smurf in the world.
Right.
Poppy finds out that there are other kinds of trolls and they perform other kinds of music. And she finds this out because the Queen of Rock trolls, voiced by Rachel Bloom, is trying to take over all the other troll kingdoms. There is a multitude of troll kingdoms, each of which plays its own genre of music. There's country, there's funk, there's classical, there is techno,
and pop
and rock.
And
but
rock,
then we also get like a little taste of like a K-pop.
And reggaeton, yodeling, and
Red Velvet, the all-girl K-pop.
Jazz.
Anyway, so but they're like 6 distinct troll,
Kingdoms.
Provinces.
Kingdoms. They all have a king or queen. Yeah.
And the rock queen, Barb, has these like sweeping totalitarian notions of having everybody only play and sing rock music, and so she's one by one, spreading her.
Each king has a string, and she steals everybody's strings so she can jam out on her guitar.
There's a lot going on, and it's about the fact that not everyone is like you, and that's okay.
And it's also about selling a bunch of new toys by introducing a bunch of new characters.
Right. And so, but at least they have the good sense to have like Kelly Clarkson be the queen of the country part and have like George Clinton and Mary J. Blige be the king and queen of the funk kingdom. Like they made some good choices there. But then there's a lot of talking until you get to the songs that they sing. This is very bright and frantic and noisy. My editor, Brian Tallarico at RogerEbert.com reviewed it. He said it was like sticking your head in a giant vat of Skittles.
Yeah.
That actually sounds good, though.
I went back and reread my review from the first film, and I said it was like somebody consumed and vomited a Lisa Frank store.
Paul Frank?
Lisa Frank.
Lisa Frank.
Lisa Frank is the one who does the stickers with the unicorns and the rainbows and the glittery, colorful everything.
It's a lot of glitter, right? Oh, then like the diamond guy has a baby, like he gives birth out of his troll head and it becomes Tiny Diamond, voiced by Kenan Thompson, who was a rapper. So it's like every kind of genre.
So it's basically exactly the way that Athena was born.
Exactly, yes.
Popped out of Zeus Troll's head.
Also covered in silver sparkles.
Indeed.
And rapping. So it's just really frantic. I made Nick watch it with me last night, and afterward he shook me down for cookies and said he was going to need therapy. He said it was the worst movie he had ever seen, and I said, no, you've seen worse movies than this. He's like, you're right. So we ranked them. It's now Playing with Fire is the worst movie he's ever seen, and then Ugly Dolls, and then Mother's Day, and then Trolls World Tour.
I was hoping we were going to hear from Nick today.
Look at your parenting game, Lemire.
I think it's really important for perspective to know. And I always tell them it's really important to see the bad movies
to appreciate
the good ones that much more. So yeah, Nick doesn't want to be here to talk about it, but just suffice it to say, he hated it.
Yeah,
I tell him that I had thought that he had loved Ugly Dolls.
Oh God,
it's his favorite thing. It gets him so riled up. He gets so pissed.
For those watching at home, really quick, I will just share that when we sat and watched Ugly Dolls, Nick was complaining about how it was a terrible movie as we're walking out. It's like, Nick, you acted like you loved that movie. And he got so mad. I hated that movie. He's like, no, I was teasing him. He kept elbowing me and saying this was great. And he was so just shocked and so worried that anyone would think that he would love that movie.
It's so easy to get around.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead.
I'm not the target demo for this movie. But oh God, it's so many things that I don't like. It's like, first of all,
music and people and things.
No.
Joy.
Colors.
Let's talk about cover versions of songs.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have like a blanket problem with them, but the ones they do for these movies, and there's now 2 movies in a row where they do this, they take like yummy little pop songs and turn them into the blandest like kids bop version. There's a One More Time cover in this movie that you're like, oh my God, make it stop.
It's the first thing in the movie.
Yeah. It's so like, it is, it literally is like kids bop. It's like it is designed for, I don't know if it's, I don't know if it's fair to say Radio Disney, but it's like, so bland and so white and so all the edges sanded down. So like I hate all the cover versions, even if they're being sung by these musical legends that you mentioned briefly, or previously, or Timberlake or whoever. They drive me up the wall. I don't like looking at these movies. They are aggressively like just candy and glitter and poppy and shiny. And again, in the right handled well, I love all that stuff. But I don't like the way the Trolls movies do them. The plots are inane. The characters do stupid things, and it's just. And the morals are really obvious, but they're also like completely hypocritical. The first film was about how the true joy doesn't come from things that you can consume. It comes from being a good person or whatever. But this is a movie that is designed to sell toys and soundtrack albums. So don't come to me with your anti-consumer message. And then in this one, it's all about how, we're all different and we all need to be different. But the whole movie culminates with everybody coming together to sing the same song in basically the same way. The classical music stuff gets very shoved to the side and barely included in anything. And all these other genres of music are completely left out, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And then on top of it, they never even address the notion of like crossovers, like the country people are so horrified by pop, and I'm thinking like maybe if the pop people sang 9 to 5, we could all get along. But no, the movie never acknowledges that there are places where these genres intersect, which they all do.
And their queen is Kelly Clarkson, who is like the personification of crossover.
Yeah, it's not like she's Kitty
though.
Wells,
As we're talking about movies that have, especially kids movies, monstrously terrible kids movies with pop music in them, is this worse than Strange Magic?
Oh,
it is. This is the Strange Magic that somehow found an audience, because it's everything that I hate about Strange Magic. It's terrible cover songs and hideous character design and just general art direction. But this is a brand of hideous character design and general art direction that is somehow hit with an audience. And because I guess Justin Timberlake is manning the boards on all these songs, somehow that also managed to work. Also, the first movie, for everything else that I hated about it, and I did hate it, I did like Can't Fight the Feeling. Like, that's a good song.
Can't Stop the Feeling.
Can't Stop the Feeling. Sorry, we said that wrong.
It's our song this week. It's our opening song this week.
Oh, lovely. But there's no song remotely that memorable in this one.
Nope. The song where they all come together is exquisitely bland.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just nothing to it. Nick and I are watching.
It's an American Idol finale song.
No, but those at least have like a big soaring chorus. Like this has nothing even like that. And so Chris was trying to tune it out while we were watching it last night. But when that big song came at the end, he's like, "Is that the song? Is that like the song?" Like, yep. It is no Can't Stop the Feeling. Yeah, it is just, it's also, as so many kids or family movies try to do, it's super inane, but also trying really aggressively to be about something thoughtful. Right? It's got these really, really big ideas, but it's also superly oversimplified. It's really for very small kids, I would say. I mean, much younger than Nick, like 6 or 7, who might enjoy the frantic, colorful energy of it all. But then there are all these like pop culture jokes and references for the adult. Like Ozzy Osbourne is the dad in the Rock Kingdom. You know, kids don't know who Ozzy Osbourne is.
No, I suspect that if you like the first movie, you'll also like this one, but I can't begin to imagine what that's like, because I hated the first one and I hate this one. But, you know, I think that this is more of the same, so I don't think it's going to turn you off if you were already on the Trolls train.
What's interesting about this, though, is that of all the movies that have come out directly to digital in the past month, as we have been in the situation that we're in, this is really the biggest. This is the biggest studio movie, because some of the movies that have come out, either they had a really quick theatrical window and then they were trying to make up for time by coming out quickly streaming, or they went straight to streaming, you know, maybe on Netflix, but they were smaller art house movies, indie movies, foreign movies. This is the biggest. This is a giant franchise as part of a giant studio.
But, you know, it's interesting on that point too. We talked a little bit about this earlier, about how this, and then Artemis Fowl, which is going to be on Disney Plus as opposed to being a theatrical release. It'll be, but the big titles, like the big PG-13 titles, are getting pushed back. And we haven't seen any news yet about those big blockbusters hitting streaming at the same time. Like it's the safe choices that we're seeing so far, right?
Yeah, this is the one,
and the kids movies.
This is the one big studio movie that didn't get a postponement, basically. And I don't know if that's because like the album was coming out, or because the cereal was on the shelf, or because they had already done there. I saw like a Trolls themed episode of like Top Chef or something, like, you know, the whole Comcast, you know, NBC Universal, you know, universe is working overtime on Synergy. So I don't know if there was just already so many things in the pipeline to promote this film that they just couldn't budge from that date. Or this is a test case to see how does a, you know, eagerly awaited, would have normally opened theatrically movie fare as a streaming title. I don't know.
I think this movie would do really well in the home video window anyway, right? So I think that this, you know, it could be that what we're going to see is...
It would have had a strong theatrical life too, though.
Sure. But I think what we're going to see is, you know, one of the possible permutations coming out of this is that the future of cinema is more grown up, you know, more older skewing movies, maybe not grown up, more like teen, PG-13 and above type movies. And the kids' movies are less pegged to that 90-day release window.
Well, here's a question I have, though. I mean, let's say that you are a family that is stuck at home during all of this, and you want something new that you can all watch together. You rent it that one time for $19.99 versus, let's say, the whole family were to go to the theater, mother, father, a couple of kids, you get popcorn, you get sodas. That's like $100.
Sure.
Right?
At least.
At least. And then if you go to the ArcLight, it's still $250 for parking. But my question is, like, is Universal going to take a giant hit because they're only getting the equivalent of like one movie ticket and everyone watches
but here's
together?
The thing,
or will they get more downloads because it is cheaper?
They're getting a bigger chunk of that $19.99 versus what like Amazon or iTunes or whatever is going to take from it than the half they're getting of every ticket that a theater chain sells. So I'm sure proportionally it probably works out for them.
It evens out.
So the finances are that first weekend, that very first weekend of release, they get half the money, and then the second weekend Universal gets less than half, and it goes down as the weeks go, to the point that by the fourth or fifth week, depending on, you know, it changes a little bit, but the theater is getting sometimes as much as 3/4 of the ticket money, right? Which is why it goes back to they want that 90-day window. The studios past that first weekend, they kind of don't care. You know, especially for a big movie, right? Like if a big movie, like they're not, you don't often see the studios push for that second week business with major blockbusters. That's not really their thing. They're happy with just that first weekend taking number one. So, yes, they'll take a hit, but especially if you can only rent this for $20 and not buy it.
Mm-hmm.
If the kids want to see it again, you got to pop another 20, right?
That's true. It's like, is it a 48-hour window?
I think it's a 48-hour window. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
and so
true.
later in the week, if they want to see it again, it's another 20, right?
Yeah.
And, Amazon, I think, I know with like retail, Amazon only gets like 25% of a sale.
Yeah, with streaming, I don't know what they're.
I don't know what it is for the streaming, but it's I think they'll probably do well.
I'm really curious to see. It is like a canary in the coal mine situation with this. I'm really curious to see how it happens, and will it encourage the other big studios to go ahead and release their summer releases?
And then, of course, we also get into the thing of like, how do we even know if the numbers they report are true? Like, I don't know if anybody audits streaming numbers the way they do like box office returns.
They sort of do. It's different. We complain about Netflix talking about stuff because Netflix doesn't have a third party giving us anything, right? But Amazon, because they're publicly held, and iTunes as well, ultimately it's in their best interest to share those numbers, share accurate numbers, because somebody can go into the annual reports later and say, hey, you guys were not honest about this. So it'll be interesting. There are various companies that get together and will, Amazon and iTunes and stuff will share rental and sales information on video titles so that you see, what's the top rental right now? What's the top, still are like with record sales used to be,
gotcha.
Right? Okay. Or still are if anyone's actually able to buy records.
All right. So Christy, what's your number?
3. What's your number?
3.1?
1. 3.1's our number. This is not a good movie, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah, as Matt likes to say, it does what it says on the box. And if that's a box you like, enjoy, but
yes.
All right. Thank you for watching. Like this video, won't you? And subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on social media at BeFastAllDay, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And visit us at patreon.com/BeFastAllDay. Lots of fun, exclusive stuff for our Patreon supporters, including TV recaps. Right now, we're talking about HBO's Westworld and The Plot Against America. So we hope you'll check that out. Everybody, thanks for watching. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. We'll see you next time. Bye.